Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 22 of A View to a Kakuranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show. We share our thoughts with you, the listeners. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
Dave?
Are you there?
Yes. Physically and spiritually, Matt, I am totally present. I am at the top. I am at like the top of the sickness roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sick right now, but I can feel it. Like, I've got, maybe like an hour and a half before this thing comes down like a ton of bricks.
Okay, well, then let us not dawdle.
I was going to say, we are 100% racing the clock on finishing this episode of this podcast.
Okay, so with that in mind, Dave, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
So, our first star of the week, Matt, is... Hi, Kat. How are you? Our first star of the week, Matt, is that Highlander. Highlander is getting a reboot. Now, normally, listen. I'm not always a huge fan of reboots.
Oh, sure.
I don't have like a constitutional opposition, but sometimes it's like, why did you bother to reboot that movie? Like, I just heard that they're trying to they're trying to like redo Mary Poppins. That's insane. That movie already stars Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. Like, there's no reason to remake Mary Poppins.
Well, that's true, Dave, except that Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to be in the new one, so it might actually be very good.
Okay, I'm not going to say that it's going to be bad, but the original movie, Matt, is practically perfect in every way.
That's true. That's true. Like, I love Jackie Chan more than I love, most people that I know in real life, but we did not need a remake of The Karate Kid.
Exactly. But they are they're making a new Highlander movie, and here's why I'm excited about it. There's 2 reasons I'm excited about it. First, this dude loves Highlander. I know I'm blowing your minds. You never would have guessed. I love Highlander.
Dude,
it's
Highlander
Sword Fight the movie.
Is amazing.
Yeah. But here's the really cool part is that the reboot is being directed by the dude whose name I can't remember, but it's being directed by the dude who directed John Wick and John Wick Chapter 2.
Oh, dude. I have not seen those movies yet, but everything I have heard about them makes it sound like I desperately need to.
Yeah, you super do need to. I mean, like, the plot isn't anything amazing. It's like it's the retired badass plot line. Like, he was so crazy, and then he retired because he like fell in love, and then the woman died, and then he's back in action, and now he's like Keanu Reeves just shoots like 1,000 men, like just. But the action is amazing because what I found out. Because I was reading this like little article about it, the dude who is the director, and I feel bad, I should look up his name. I'm not going to, but I should. I wanted to acknowledge that I should do that.
Right.
That dude got his start in Hollywood as a stuntman. Like, that is his primary thing, is that he's a stuntman, and then he started directing movies.
Oh, cool.
And, like, it shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, since Highlander is effectively Sword Fight the movie...
Oh, dude, it is Sword Fight the movie.
Action choreography has just gotten better. It's just gotten better over the last, 30 years.
Okay, so you mentioned this to me earlier in the week, and I thought, you know what I should do? I should start watching Highlander the series.
Heck yeah, you should. The show's so good.
And so I watched I just sat down one night, and I watched like the first 4 episodes of Highlander.
Nice.
Dude, listen, I know that you don't have time for it. And I might not even have time for it. But when I was watching that show, I thought, dudes, I really, really would love to do another podcast where it's this show, but with Highlander instead of Super Sentai, and just watch all through Highlander.
That would be pretty amazing. I don't know, man. Maybe we could get together when I have a little more time and do like...
Okay, listen,
bonus stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I don't know. What if we did not talk about this before we started recording, so I am literally just saying this on the air right now. And maybe Mark will cut it out if it sounds like a horrible idea. So if you have heard this far, then at least it's been vetted by one guy. Because we've been talking about starting a Patreon. What if we set like a monthly Highlander sub show as a Patreon goal? Can I talk you into it that way?
We might be able to make that happen. I can see that. I can dig that.
Okay, so
I can dig that.
No promises, but if you hear something from me later on down the line that we're doing Live and Let Highlander, like, you will know that's.
Dude, Adrian Paul, the dude who plays the Highlander in the Highlander TV show, not the movies.
Duncan MacLeod, not
Adrian
Connor
Paul,
MacLeod.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Adrian Paul does he does something called the Sword Experience.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, and what it is, as far as I can tell, it is basically a stage combat course, like intro course that he teaches at cons. So like if you go to like Origins or something, Adrian Paul will be there potentially doing the Sword Experience, which is you get to swing for 10 swords with Adrian Paul. And it's the best part about it that I've seen is that he does a video, like the promo video for it. Like, just go to the Sword Experience, I think, theswordexperience.com, and you can watch the promo video. And the promo video is just Adrian Paul, like, sitting and, like meditating, right?
Uh-huh.
And he is narrating he's doing, like, a voiceover of his own thoughts that are, like, leading him to create and come up with the name The Sword Experience. Listen, man, I love Adrian Paul. I love the Highlanders. That dude has an acting career that I think most acting professionals like fantasize about, because he was in a very famous show and it went for a number of years, and that dude makes his full-time living being on, like, in movies, which is amazing.
Dude,
and so
went for
let me be clear.
6 seasons.
Like, that's a lot of time and a lot of episodes. So, like, let me be clear. I am not ragging on Adrian Paul in a general way. But this video it's not his best work. Let me say it like that.
Well, it's probably not his worst work, because I've heard that Highlander the Source has got some problems. But I have not seen Highlander the Source.
No, that's true. It's better than Highlander the Source. I can confirm that.
Okay. Well, maybe someday I will watch Highlander the Source and we will talk about it. But for now, let us talk about a different thing that we have watched. Dave, what is our second star of the week?
So our second star of the week is we didn't go watch John Wick Chapter 2 because our mom is visiting, and she didn't want to see John Wick Chapter 2.
Well, she hadn't seen John Wick Chapter 1, and she really thought she'd be lost.
Yeah, she would have been, because you really need to have it established, like, how many dudes John Wick is capable of shooting, or else the second movie doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
But what we did go see was Lego Batman 2, which was fantastic.
Lego Batman the movie, not Lego Batman 2. We did not get into a secret screening of a future movie
that we can talk about. So we did go see Lego Batman, the movie, and it was really, okay, first of all, it was tons of fun. It was very fun. It was very funny. They made some deep Batman cuts, you guys. Like, real deep.
Oh, yeah, it was. And what was funny is that, like, we were sort of split up in the theater. You were sitting with Beth, and I was sitting with our mom. And as they were going through, like, a bunch of deep cuts, at some point they say, like, this is all real stuff that we didn't just make up. And I leaned over to Mom, and I said, yeah, that's true. Like, these are all real characters. And she was incredulous that any of those things could have actually happened in a comic book.
And we were like, no. Nope. Egghead? Is that the guy's name?
Yep. Condiment King. He was up in that business.
Condiment King. That dude was there. Zebra Man. That dude was there. Calendar Man. That dude was there. Just a lot of dudes.
A lot of man.
Just a lot of dudes were there. But here I think, Matt, is the best thing about Lego Batman is that within the pastiche of the fact that it is a Lego movie, and they kind of have their own, they are starting to establish their own vibe now that they've got a second Lego movie. And it's a fun, sort of like tongue-in-cheek, jokey vibe, fun for kids, fun for parents, great for the whole family
Sure.
style of entertainment.
A lot like those Lego video games.
But like inside the context of that thing, they managed to make like a really legitimately good Batman movie.
Yeah, like a really fun, good, heartfelt Batman movie in which Batman, like, it is important to this story that Batman has friends and people that he works with, and that makes his life better.
And yeah, like I did not expect maybe that level of Batman insight, of Bat insight into like in a Lego movie. I just assumed that it was going to be like fun and goofy. But then we were watching, I was like, nah, man, like if you've read some Batman comics, this movie makes a ton of sense. And whoever made it clearly has also read a bunch of Batman comics.
Yeah, it was great. It was tons of fun. I mean, it literally just came out. I mean, I don't know what we could do to spoil the Lego Batman movie. It doesn't sort of seem like that kind of film. So,
yeah.
But just on the safe side, I'm not going to get into too many details. But it was fun. If you like fun things and also Batman, which can be a fun thing, despite what some movies have led you to believe.
Not always, but usually.
Then you should go watch that movie. It was great. Listen, Robin was in that movie. I'll tell you one thing. It's the best movie featuring Robin.
That's 100% true. That's real true.
And I don't hate those Schumacher movies, but yeah, this is definitely the best Robin movie.
Yeah, yup, definitely the best Robin movie.
Anyway, that's all. That's all I got to say on that. But speaking of things that happened to us at the theater, Dave, what is our third star of the week?
So our third star of the week, Matt, is kind of a black hole. So we went to the movie. We went to see Lego Batman 2, the movie, yesterday. And we went to a matinee. Tickets were cheap. And I said, man, I like almost never do this because it's highway robbery. But I'm going to get a drink. Like I'm going to get a Coke, right?
Right.
So I get the Coke, and it's like $5. But like, whatever. It's a movie theater. I know it's expensive. We're done with the movie. We're leaving, and I say to myself, man, I'm gonna get like some more. I'm gonna go get more Coke. I go. This is a Cinemark theater. Just so you know, when you're going to the movies, is a Cinemark theater, and I go up and I take the lid off my cup, and I go to hand it back to the clerk, and I say, hey, can I get a refill on Diet Coke? And the guy says to me, Matt, 2-time award-winning podcast host and co-host of the greatest show on earth, says to me.
Maybe he didn't know who you were.
Maybe he didn't know who I was. Anyways, he said, oh, I'm sorry. We don't do free refills. To which I said,
you're a good person, Dave. You don't deserve this kind of treatment.
I know. To which I said, what? And he said, oh, we don't. Like, you could tell that he was embarrassed about it, which is appropriate.
Sure, you ought to be embarrassed about it.
Yeah, but he's like, we don't do free refills unless you have like this special cup that you bought. And I was like, you just don't. Like, I was legitimately, like, I had heard the words that he said, but I was so, like, who doesn't do free refills?
Like, you
Everybody
must have misunderstood.
Does.
There must be some sort of breakdown in communication between the words that he's trying to say and the message that you are hearing.
Yeah, like, everybody does. And here's, I think, the thing that got me, is that if you sell me, like, if I go to a restaurant, it's like a small restaurant, and they serve me a drink in a can, then, like, yes, obviously, there's no refills on that bad boy. Because that's not, like, that's not the pop economy that you're operating in. But if your pop comes out of a fountain and you don't do free refills, at this point, I think, like, we as a society have an accord, Matt. Like, we have just determined that free refills are a thing. And if you don't do free refills, you are, like, in some way. Yeah.
It's a criminal crime.
It's a legal
crime
crime.
and you go to jail.
You are preying on my assumption that there will be free refills, because like you didn't tell me like, oh hey, just so you know, that doesn't come with free refills. It's like if you bought tires and they were like, oh yeah, it will be another like $30 to fill those tires with air. That's insane. Tires come with air, pop comes with free refills. And I was just so, like, I legitimately had to talk, like, I wasn't going to yell at the kid because he's like a 17-year-old who doesn't know who I am.
Right.
But, like, as I was walking out of the theater, I legitimately had to, like count to 10 and, like, talk myself down from being furious.
And I want to be clear about something to our listeners. You are not a big soda pop drinking man. This is not like you had to get your fix. Listen, Dave, America means a lot of things to a lot of people, and most of those interpretations of what this great country of ours like means in their hearts are true and valid, and I don't want to take one over the other, right? But I think that there's one thing that all of those, you know, in the Venn diagram of what does America mean to you, I think the one connecting point in all of those different worldviews is that you get at least one free refill on your fountain soda.
Minimum one free refill. It was monstrous. So, I don't know. Shame on you, Cinemark theaters, I guess. I mean, I'm still going to go because it's like the best theater in Cleveland. It's so great. But I'm not buying drinks anymore. Screw you guys. What, Matt, is our fourth star of the week?
The fourth star of the week, Dave, is that I am... You know what I'm trying to do, Dave?
What are you trying to do?
In my day-to-day, I am, you know, it's 2017. I'm trying to be excellent to other people. Mm-hmm. That's our goal. But another thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be excellent to myself.
Listen, man, it starts at home.
You know, be the change you want to see in the world. To yourself, I guess. Anyway, I joined the YMCA.
Good
because I had previously been like, I had joined one of those other gyms that like is cheaper but does not have a pool, and I realized after a year of that like I wasn't going because what I actually wanted was a place with a pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, swimming is the best.
Because I don't know if we ever talked about it in the show, but Dave and I, when we were coming up, we swam like all the time. That was our sort of steady form of exercise and sporting engagement.
Yeah.
And listen, I wasn't great at it, but I was good. You know, I won some stuff sometimes. And so it's the one thing that, like, I really feel, like, confident about, like, as regards exercise. Because you know how, like, you don't want to go on the treadmill and, like, you don't want to be out, like, running in public until you've already been running long enough that it kind of looks like you know what you're doing?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But there's no way to bridge that gap without just, like, running in secret in your home for a while.
Right.
But I've already put in the work on swimming, so I can just go to the pool and swim. I have no stamina anymore, I discovered, because I hadn't swam. I had not swam. I realized when I got in the pool, I had a very, like, visceral reaction where I put my head under the water and I kicked off the wall, and I felt the pool sort of, like, attaching to my beard. And I realized that I had not gone lap swimming since I had been, like, since I grew a beard. And I have not been...
like a while.
Yeah, I have not been clean shaven since at least 2008. So it's been a couple of years since I've gone lap swimming. And my dude, my body felt it. Like, I remembered how to make, like, the appropriate motions to, like, propel myself through the water, but when I got out of the pool half an hour later, I was, like, wrecked.
Well, no, that's great, man. I'm excited for you that you were doing that thing. That's real cool.
Thank you. One thing, one incredible device that has been invented since my last time in the pool is that when I was in the locker room and walking out, I saw, like, this strange mystery box attached to the wall. And I looked at it. It is a swimsuit dryer. It's like a salad spinner, but for your pants. You just put your wetsuit in there, you push down on a button, it spins it super fast, and then you pull it out, and it is dry. It's a miracle machine.
No,
Dave.
That's brilliant. Why has nobody thought of that before now?
I mean, listen, they might have thought of it 10, 15 years ago, and I just hadn't seen one. But I'm bringing that news to you, the people, now. Get on that. If you have wet swimsuits and happen to be walking by this box, I guess. This is a very specific endorsement, but, you know.
But a strong
good.
one.
Anyway, Dave, so that's all I got on that. What is our fifth and final star of the week?
So our fifth star of the week, Matt, is that, like I said, at the high school, we're doing Much Ado About Nothing. It's going along super well. Very excited about it. The cast is really good. I have like this minor conundrum though, because I have a student. I've had her for a few years in like theater. I've directed her in a number of things. She's very good. She loves theater. It's like what she wants to do when she grows up. She has an uncle who teaches theater. Her grandparents like taught theater. Her mom did theater. This is like a multi-generational like theater performing family, right?
Gotcha.
And so we're doing Shakespeare, which is like, you know, it can be challenging. And this girl, I won't say her name, but this young lady, she's very good. Like she gets it in a way that takes a while of like exposure and study to get. And so when the kids are rehearsing, like if I'm talking to somebody else, she will say, like she will mention to someone with whom she is on stage, like, oh, hey, like, why don't you do like X or Y or Z or like try this thing or whatever? And part of me is like, ooh, L is the first letter of her name. Like, ooh, L, you should probably, like, you are also a student. You should probably like not be like volunteering advice and critique of other students.
Right. That is not like super cool etiquette wise.
Yeah. But on the other hand, she's right like 90% of the time. Like she's really good. It's just like, well, I was going to say that. Yeah. So, like if it was in class, it would be much easier, but it's like a club and like we're all just like, we're there and we're working on it. And so... And, you know, she gets on with the other kids. So that's my thing. I just don't know what to do with this bright, like Shakespeare-loving student.
Precocious teens, Dave.
Precocious teens.
They're always hard to keep track of. But, Dave, speaking of precocious teens...
Dad, that was smooth. That was real.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my family, you know, the fans,
the Academy,
for them. I really appreciate the Academy. You know, it was just such an honor to be nominated for best transition of the year. Anyway, Dave, we're gonna watch episode 22 of Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. It is called "I'll Make You Laugh," and we will be right back. Ninja. Okay, welcome back. So we have just finished watching episode 22. "I'll Make You Laugh." Dave, did this episode make you laugh?
It did. They did a great job.
I'm good. I'm glad to know that they didn't lie to you. And that we can now move on unimpaired. By that, I meant to say unimpaired, and then I was going to say unimpeded, and it kind of became a combination of both of those words that didn't mean anything specific. So let's move on from that before I dwell on it for too much longer and feel like a real silly person.
Yeah, if we talked about it much longer, I feel like you would really like get in your head about it.
Yeah, and
like
you know
I just
what?
like right at the top of this segment for this show that people listen to that you just said like a real, just like a really like dumb thing.
Yeah, and I don't want to have to get, you know, stuck in a loop where I just worry like, should we restart the episode? Should we have Mark cut that out? Has it been too long? We already spent too long talking about it. I don't want to have to get into those kinds of thoughts, you know, especially right at the beginning here. Because otherwise it's going to put us on a real weird turn. And you are starting to feel sick, and so I feel like I might have to carry a little extra weight. And that's already making me feel a little stressed out. So let's just move on before I have any of those thoughts and just get right into episode 22. I'll make you laugh. Dave, did this episode make you laugh this week?
It did. Yeah, this episode made me laugh, man.
Oh, I'm so glad that we can move on and talk about it now, unimpeded by the fact that that might or might not have happened.
So this episode starts with Seikai. He's on a bike. He's gone shopping for crepe ingredients. He's weirdly stoked about these crepe ingredients. He's like listing off the things that he bought. He's like, I'm going to make a banana crepe and a strawberry crepe and a chocolate crepe. And then like he would probably have just kept going.
And a kiwi crepe.
Oh, I missed that kiwi. That doesn't even sound good.
It could be good.
I'm going to be real with you.
Listen, so he cares about his work, Dave.
A little bit. Yeah, that's kind of true. So he's on this bike and he drives past a Dutch windmill, which, sure, why not? And there is a girl driving, I say a girl, a woman. She is driving like this golf cart car. It's like halfway between, it's like a wear golf cart. And he like comes alongside of her and he's like, what are you doing? This car is really weird. And she says, no, get out of the way. Like, you have to leave me alone. And then he rides the bike in front of her. But then he like slows down. Oh, sorry. Seikai and this car are both traveling at 5 miles an hour tops.
I was going to say, that's being generous. I have it in my notes as 3 miles an hour.
Well, there wasn't an accelerometer, so I wasn't totally sure. But yeah, they're not going fast. And so she like bumps Seikai's back wheel. He gets launched like 15 feet into a pond, and then she is knocked out. This is flatly like, impossible. Like, there's no way that happened.
Yeah, and listen, was Seikai being irresponsible by, like, riding his bike up alongside a car and then getting in front of it? Yes.
Yes, he was.
On the other hand, I'm going to put it at a 0% chance that this woman is a licensed driver, because if she was, she would have been able to find, I don't know, a brake pedal.
So when this happens, all these 3 young kids come running up, and they're just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, Maiko, are you okay? And they, like, manage to shake her awake.
After her traumatic car crash. Yeah. Oh, by the way, when this car crashed, the big panel that was on top of it, there was a solar panel sitting on top of this car, falls off in a heap of, like, panels and wires.
And so Seikai gets up out of the water, and he's like, what is going on? Like, are you okay? I'm so sorry. And what we find out is that this lady, Maiko, and these 3 young boys, who are never given names, are developing a solar car. This is in, like, her garage, as far as I can tell. And this crash has just obliterated the solar panel. There's nothing left of it. It's gone.
It is as though they found a solar panel just sitting around like in like a, I don't know, a solar car junkyard, and decided to like place it gingerly on top of a golf cart, and that is the extent of their like inventing capabilities. Seikai, though, is very impressed with this. He says, you are a female Edison. And he turns to the kids like, and you are all little Edisons.
Like, this is incredible.
Like, I'm going to help you achieve your dreams.
Now, it is important to note that this is Seikai that we're talking about. And if you do not recall from previous episodes, Seikai and Saizo both, I guess. But Seikai is super girl crazy. So he doesn't actually, like, let's be clear. Seikai does not care about solar technology. What he cares about is that there is a lady with whom he could maybe like get in good if he helps her out. So
right, and I think he's genuinely taken by this girl and these 3 kids. Like he wants to, like he doesn't know or care about solar technology, but he does want to make them happy.
Yeah, he digs them.
Now,
I guess
let's do a brief digression here, Dave, because
please.
When they have like a poster on their wall that says like Dream Solar Car, and it has a drawing, like a crude drawing of a solar car. And
yeah, they clearly put one of the young boys in charge of the poster. This is not like a funded operation.
This is like, okay, if you were not around during this part of the 90s, or not sort of like aware of things that would be in like a National Geographic Junior magazine at the time, solar cars, I feel like were a big deal at the time.
Yeah, super big deal. They're still sort of like pretty big deal. Like, we're working on it as like a thing, kind of.
Yeah, but like in the early 90s, I felt as though people thought like we are on the cusp of
Yeah,
like
like,
that
we
being
are-
the next big thing. This was before hybrids and like electric cars and Teslas and stuff. And so you would just see like, hey, we've made a new solar car. It's 20 feet long and shaped like a weird teardrop, and it's got like 3 tiny wheels, and we managed to drive it for 40 minutes in a desert. So, you know, you should be able to buy one of these next year.
Like, we're basically there. We pretty much got it down, you guys. It's amazing. So
Anyway, I just wanted to
he's like-
reminisce about solar cars for a second there.
yeah. So next, what we see is the narrator, and the narrator is like, he starts talking about something, like just being like, oh, that wacky Seikai. And then gas starts like flowing in around him, and he starts laughing uproariously. So clearly it's laughing gas, because that is how laughing gas works on TV. It doesn't work like that in real life. But anyways, so
Dave,
he loses
Dave,
it.
if it didn't work like that in real life, why would they call it laughing gas?
Matt, the answer to that is not funny, so I'm just going to skip it.
Oh, okay.
So we
well,
go from
never
there-
mind then.
It's not like awful. It's just like, well, you know, just like, you know, gives you the giggles. It's not.
Oh, I thought we were going to start going into a dark place. Let's just move on.
Oh, no. It's not like horrifying. It's just not actively funny. So we go from there to a hospital, and everybody in the hospital is like also losing it. The doctor turns to one of the patients and is trying to calm them down and says, if you keep laughing, you'll die, which I'm not. Maybe that's a thing. It works for the Joker, I guess.
Well, okay, I couldn't figure out if these people had been brought to the hospital because they were laughing, or if they were already in the hospital with like grievous injuries and then they started laughing. Because if it was the
Yeah, it's
latter,
not
then they could be
clear.
like ripping their stitches and stuff. The other thing that we see is out in a parking lot, there is someone driving, and they start to laugh. And then they like drive.
This is incredible.
They drive off camera, and then you hear like a crash, and you see a door from the car sort of like fly back. And then you see another car drive back onto camera with the first car sitting on top of it somehow.
I'm not sure how laughing got it up there, but it did.
Dave,
So
the
what we-
power of laughter it can solve any problem, it can heal all wounds, and it can lift a car.
So it's been flashing back and forth between these people laughing uproariously and this just like a canister that's in like a parking lot that's spewing gas. Tsuruhime runs up. She grabs the canister, just stuffs it in like a plastic grocery bag, and then hops on one of the shark cycles. Shark cycles? Shark fighters? Street sharks?
I mean,
What are those
they are
things called
the
again?
shark motorcycles.
Yeah, the shark motorcycles. The shark sickles. That makes it sound like a different thing.
Like a delicious frozen treat.
Yeah, or like a shark that hangs from the eaves of your roof in the winter. So anyways, she gets on this bike, and they're like, we gotta go, and all the rangers are there. And then they
Seikai
show
is
up
not
at like
there.
Oh, that's right, sorry. Seikai is not there. So they show up at the train tracks, and they're like, Tsuruhime, throw it! And so she throws this canister just onto the train tracks, which if you want the gas to not come out of it is a bad place for it.
Anyway, the canister explodes out of the bag, and now we are faced with this week's yokai, Enra. And Enra is like a gas monster. His body looks like a big gray blob that I think is meant to look like a cloud of gas, but since it's made out of like foam rubber, it just looks like a gray globby thing.
I actually think that Enra looks really, really cool. Because, like, it is gray and blobby, but you can see, like, it's definitely sculpted and carved to look as though it's, like, swirling gas. And then he also has bits of gas canister kind of, like, coming out / embedded in his gas body.
Yeah, and, like, pipes and stuff like that. Like, pipe fittings
and
that gas would be inside of.
His mask is, like, a grate, like a face grate or something. It's pretty, like, it's pretty cool. So he's like, well, I'm going to kill you now. And the Rangers say, no. And Sasuke throws Red Slicer, which is his like gigantic shuriken, if you recall. And he throws Red Slicer at Enra, and it just passes through him because Enra is gas. Like, he's made out of gas. Like, not all the time. He has like phasing powers. He can like turn into gas when he wants to.
So that does not go anywhere. Jiraiya is like, well, maybe if I just like jump at him, that will work. It does not work.
It does not. It does not. And then he does something really cool. Enra, not Jiraiya. Jiraiya just falls. Enra, he like sprays gas at the Rangers, and then out of his other arm, he's just got like an igniter. He's got like a little flamethrower. He's got a flamethrower, and he just ignites the gas that he has just sprayed all over them, and they explode. Which is like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe he's got like natural gas powers. He just blows these dudes up.
Yeah, dude.
So we go from... So the Rangers are exploded, and then he doesn't kill them. Because Super Sentai.
I mean, why would
And then we see... Right. Why, possibly, once they're completely incapacitated, would you kill them? And so we go from there to the narrator, and the narrator is still losing it with the gas. Like, he can't overcome this laughing gas attack. And Enra shows up, and he's just like, I'm doing the narration this week. This is what's up with me. And what we find out is that Enra was originally a smoke fire, like a house fire smoke and yokai. But now,
instead of being like a home furnace thing, he comes out of... It's basically like pollution gas. He's a great sort of Captain Planet monster. Mostly he comes out of like car exhaust, but I think he also is meant to be coming out of like, industrial smokestacks and such.
Yeah, that's kind of his... Yeah, you nailed it. He's a Captain Planet monster. So we go from there, and we just see him like real quickly, and he's like at a busy intersection, and he is eating the exhaust coming from all these cars. He's got like a little gauge on his chest that is filling up, and he's powered now.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, there is a bit, I don't know if it's here or later on in the episode. Like, I noticed it and wrote it down in my notes, but like sort of in the margin, so I forget where it happens. But there was on the wall, like, you know how you'll go by a bank and it'll have like a big like digital clock display that has like the time and the temperature and stuff?
Uh-huh.
There was one of those, but it also had like the percentage of... It was like checking how much like CO2 was in the air, like parts per million.
Oh.
And like as that number slowly started to go up, he was like, yes, we're doing it. Pollution.
Hooray!
And I don't know if that is like an actual thing that like used to exist or does exist. Yeah, I just thought it was really wild.
So we go from there to like the solar lab thing.
Which is just a shed.
It's just a shed.
The solar shed.
And there's a bunch of solar powers on Nekomaru. Nekomaru, the magical cat food truck. And there's like wires going in and around him and then like plugging into a thing. And they have built like a box. And I had never considered this before, but like Maiko has to have found something when she starts digging in and around Nekomaru. Like, Nekomaru has got to just have parts that aren't there in a regular cat bus.
You know, she would, but again, I really suspect that these four don't know how to make a solar car. And so, like, she just, like, they set up the panels on top and they plug them into, like, a control unit inside, and that's basically what they have going on. Or at least that's what I think. But soon we will see that this is, like, Nekomaru will ride.
Well, yeah,
but we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
It has... Right. So the other Rangers arrive, and they're just like, dude, Seikai, where were you? Are you... Like, they see the girl, they see Maiko, and they're just like, dude, are you seriously hitting on a girl right now? Like, there's a yokai. We have business to take care of, dude. You cannot...
And Seikai is so proud of himself. He's like, we are building the dream solar-powered, pollution-free car of the future. And then like the girl like pops her head out of, what's her name again? Maiko? Maiko pops her head out of Nekomaru and waves to them. And they all like, they go from looking really mad at Seikai to giving like a nice polite smile and wave to her. And then
like,
as soon as she pops her
great
head,
job.
like as soon as she pops her head back inside of Nekomaru to get back to like fiddling with wires, their expression immediately goes back to furious at Seikai. It's a great bit of acting.
And so I think this is where Enra sees them and he's like, oh no, if they manage to invent a solar car, like I'm boned.
Well, okay, that
like,
happens in a second, because what happens now is that Nekomaru just starts driving.
Oh, that's right.
And Seikai is like, oh, no, you need to come back. The other four don't chase. It's just Seikai running after it. They kind of half chase after Seikai, saying like, this is just like him. But Nekomaru is long gone.
And Maiko is thrilled. Like she's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's this big truck. We're going so fast. Like, you guys, we did it. We've solved the problem. Solar cars, wave of the future. Like, we did it. Nobel Prize for Maiko. Great job.
So as they're driving, like, they kind of, I think they sort of end up accidentally sneaking up on Enra because he doesn't seem to notice them.
Yeah,
and
he does not.
Because Nekomaru
theorize.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I theorize they can sneak up on him because Nekomaru does not produce exhaust.
Yeah, and so that is sort of like how he gauges where cars are, I guess. And maybe if the engine isn't running, then the car is running quietly. Like if you've ever had a Prius move next to you and you get really worried because you think like, oh my gosh, where did that car come from?
Yeah, it's a weird moment. So, but he gets back up because Nekomaru hits Enra. He gets back up. He's like, what's going on with that car? He realizes, he's like, well, that is definitely a car and there's definitely no exhaust. And that's when I jumped ahead. This is when he gets like super angry.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, I can't go back to that. I can't go back to house fire smoke, not house fire. Fireplace smoke, that's a different thing. I can't go back to fireplace smoke. I'm too deep in. I'm too deep in on the exhaust.
He's angry and he almost seems like hurt and offended. Like,
and
they're going to starve me.
How could you?
How could you do that to me? I'm such a nice guy.
Enra, like your buddy. So we're back at the lab.
The shed. Let's stop calling it a lab.
Listen, man, it's okay. So they're back at the shed and everybody is completely fooled. Everybody's like, oh yeah, this is it. This is so incredible. We did it. Like the boys are like jumping up and down, like bonsai.
Like, we did it. All our dreams have come true.
And Seikai is just like, he shows up. I did want to point out one of those kids does have like a real intense tool belt, which is pretty rad. So Seikai shows up because he's been chasing them on foot, completely exhausted, can't talk. And he starts to say like, you guys, and he gets kind of that far, and Enra just shows up and teleports on top of Nekomaru and just starts trashing the solar panels. And he's like, I will destroy the solar panels, and this will never be the thing, which Enra, like they would still have, they could build more, dude. They have the plans, I would assume.
On the other hand, Dave, when you go out driving on the street today, do you see solar-powered cars?
I don't.
This is why Enra took care of it. He opposed solar cars. He broke these 3 panels, and that's it.
That's the best. Yeah, that's very definitely the most reasonable explanation for why there aren't solar cars.
Hey man, Occam's razor, right?
So, did you just say Akko's razor? Because that would have been really funny.
That would have been really funny. I don't think I said that.
So Seikai's like, no, Enra, and he jumps up and he starts fighting with Enra. And Enra, like, he doesn't want to fight. He just wanted to destroy those solar panels. So once the solar panels are trashed, he teleports out.
Hey, Dave.
No, they fight for a minute.
I was going to say, I hate to interrupt, and I know that you're starting to feel ill. That is not what happens.
Just help me out here, man. I am fading quickly.
Okay, so they're fighting on the roof, and Enra sort of knocks Seikai off. And Seikai says, like, stop destroying it. The car isn't solar powered. I just asked Nekomaru to help us because, like, it seems like it would make them happy. I happen to have this magic car, which, by the way, no one reacts to that. Like, oh, you just asked your magic cat car to do us a favor? Like, that is never a consideration of, like, well, that's kind of weird, Seikai. They just immediately, like, accept this fact. So they start trying to fight again, and Seikai goes to pull out his Doron changer, but Enra hits him with a numbing gas, which is just like help me out here with the word, Dave. Like if you go into
anesthetic.
Yes. So he is unable to, like, use his fingers, like, because they're all numb, to actually use the Doron changer, so he can't change. So he's in trouble, and then the other 4 Rangers show up, save him for, like, a second, and then Enra blows them up again, and then he leaves.
Yeah, so he is out. And then what we see then is Seikai. Where the other Rangers go, I don't know. Because all we see is Seikai in the solar shed, and he's all, like, bandaged up, and he feels super bad.
Well, where Enra goes is he goes on a rampage. Did you forget? So he goes out to the streets. Enra does. And he has 2 gases that he's using. He's got his laughing gas, and he's got his crying gas. And he just switches back and forth between his laughing gas and crying gas on a loop for what seems like 5 minutes, as he's just making the people on the street laugh and cry. And it does not seem to be harming these people. He's just messing with them for a very long time.
It's not like a full 5 minutes, but he definitely switches back and forth at least 5 or 6 times. He's not doing anything. He's literally just like laughing gas, crying gas, laughing gas, crying gas. Which I think, does that make Enra like the pettiest monster we've seen so far?
Maybe. I mean, listen, there's no petty like a Goma tribe petty, but he might be the most petty of the yokai we've seen.
Oh yeah, I had forgotten about Gara. Gara is definitely the pettiest monster. Enra, second place.
Sort of up there.
Up there, high on that scale of pettiness. So anyways,
the four other Kakurangers show up to confront him, and they say, like, you'll be the one who cries. And they start to go to a fight, and then we hop back to the shed, where we see, like, the totally beat up Seikai, like, sulking.
And he's like, guys, I feel so bad. A, that, like, I tricked you, and B, that now Enra has destroyed what solar technology you had. Like, I don't know what to do. He says, but I've got to go fight. I have to go fight. And Maiko's like, no, Seikai, you're too injured. And then he turns it up to 11. It's incredible. Like, there's some music that starts in the background, the words of which I will tell you in a minute. And he says, no, I am a ninja warrior. Like, my destiny is to fight. Maiko, you are a Lady Edison. And then he turns to the guys and is like, boys, you are little Edisons. You must never forget your inventor's spirit.
You must never forget the inventor's heart. Seikai, sometimes you are like a characterless blob around which this show exists, but this week you brought it.
And so he, like, turns away dramatically, and Maiko, like, runs up and puts her hands on his shoulders and, like, hugs him. She's like, no, Seikai. He's like, no, you must be inventors. The words of the song, by the way, that someone is singing in the background are duty and sentiment, if we put them on the scale, Duty is heavier in the real man's world. She sees the spirit in my mind so well, roaring on my back, the peony lions.
Yeah, dude.
I don't...
The last line does not make any sense to me, but the duty and sentiment weighed in the scales. And like this, like I don't have the music to play for you right now, but if you just imagine those words and this scene and imagine the kind of music that is playing, you got it. Like it is exactly the music that you think.
Yeah, you nailed it. And so Maiko and the kids are like back in the shed and they're just like, no, Seikai. It's like, guys, you literally met this dude maybe earlier this morning. And then Seikai, this is the button. Seikai walks out of the shed, closes the door behind him, and says to himself, maybe I made that exit a little too dramatic. And then he tries to put on his coat and his arm is still hurt. He's like, wow, my arm!
It is such a good, like, comedy moment in this show.
We go back to Maiko for a second, and she, like, is thinking, and she hears Seikai's voice, and he says, don't forget the heart of the inventor. And she says, inventor, it's a smoke monster. And then we're done with that part.
So we cut
back to the fight.
An industrial yard full of cement pipes. You know, that place that we go sometimes. And the other 4 Kakurangers are all fighting Enra. And Seikai shows up, and he's standing on top of a pile of industrial junk. And he says, like, now I'm here. And he jump kicks Enra, and then he flips back on top of the pile of stuff. And he, like, super hengeis and jumps into the fight, and then immediately gets his butt kicked.
Yeah, he cannot handle it. So, because he can't hit smoke. So while they are trying to figure out, the Rangers are trying to figure out what to do, Maiko runs up and she has invented something. And what she has invented is a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. So it is literally a vacuum cleaner that they had in the shed.
Well, it's cordless, she says. She says it's a cordless super vacuum. It's a shop vac. And so they like, what they do is they go to hit Enra, and he phases and like turns into gas, and then they turn the vacuum cleaner on and just suck him into the vacuum cleaner. And okay, here's the deal. At first, I was gonna make fun of him pretty hard about this, but then I remembered this last week I watched the most recent episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're not caught up on it, so I'm gonna spoil this for you a little bit, Matt. Is Nitro. Nitro shows up.
Oh,
the
okay.
Exploding Man.
Yeah.
And they do literally the exact same thing. Like, they get Nitro to explode himself, and then while his atoms are, like, dispersed, and before he can reform himself, they just suck him into a giant vacuum cleaner, effectively. It's like a bathysphere with a vacuum on one end.
Well, that's also how Spider-Man beat Sandman in their first encounter. Like, literally, he got him to disperse into sand, and then he vacuumed him up.
Yeah, so I guess we can't actually fault Super Sentai for this too hard.
No, and also because
still doing
does work.
Yeah, no, it super works. And then he is like, well, fine, I'll just use giantism. So he turns into a giant, and that breaks the vacuum. And Maiko and the kids freak out. They're like, oh no, and they run away.
But then the Kakuranger's like, well, now we know what to do. He's giant. We're going to summon our dudes. Oh, first, Seikai says, every failure is a step on the road to success. Which is just good. Which is good.
That's just solid, man. That's just solid advice.
Well, he's talking to science kids. He's like, we had a hypothesis. We tested it. It didn't work, so now we got to move on. Scientific method. Now, our next hypothesis is that if we hit him with a giant flaming sword the size of a building, he will die. Let's test that hypothesis.
So, they jump directly to summoning Muteki Shogun. So they summon Muteki Shogun. Muteki Shogun is here. He goes back to, and he just like opens up with flaming sword. And I was just like, oh, well, that's it. But it doesn't work.
For the first time
even as a giant, this is incredible. For the first time ever, flaming sword is not a one-shot kill, because even as a giant, Enra is still gas.
Yeah. Now,
I do
should
feel
he
like
maybe
it should have
explode
ignited
because
him.
he's made out of gas and there's a fire sword? Yeah, possibly.
Yes, he
but let's
should've.
just keep moving.
Yeah. And so it doesn't work. Like, it's amazing. And then Enra reforms, and he hits Miteki Shogun with crying gas. And I guess it is enough gas to get into, like, the inner works and affect the Rangers. And then, guys, if you've never seen a giant castle-themed Sentai robot do its best to mime crying, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, there's a degree to which you haven't truly lived.
Okay, here's the best part of this, is that he's trying to do that bit where, like, you rub your eyes when you're crying in a cartoon, right? But
Yeah.
the thing is that Muteki Shogun's arms are so giant and were never designed to be able to reach his face that he cannot reach his face. And so he's doing that motion, but he's about, like, only 3/4 of the way there, just rubbing his hands in the air against nothing.
So he is. So they try, and then Muteki Shogun just literally disappears. Like, he can't handle the laughter, and he just disappears, and the Rangers fall to the ground.
So they are obviously concerned because this is the only time this has ever happened. But out of nowhere, the young Edisons reemerge with a new technology. And this is an actual, like, technology thing that they invented. It's not just a piece of junk that they grabbed from their shed.
Yeah, what they've done is very clever. They've somehow made a cold generator. Because what you can, if you get gas cold enough, it liquefies and then solidifies. But you could do this. This is a thing you can do to gas. Hey, Dad.
But guys, our dad does, like, liquid hydrogen for a living. That is, he is not just saying, "Hey, Dad," in sort of a general sense. He's specifically talking to our dad. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, our specific biological father who is like a liquid hydrogen engineer. And we do a Super Sentai Brothers podcast. So, like father, like son.
Yeah, we've all got our accomplishments.
Oh, wait a minute. Dad's been on the show. You guys have met Dad.
Oh,
the Super Sentai father. And so anyways, they do manage to freeze Enra. Like, they get him so cold that he solidifies and then becomes wrapped in saran wrap.
Well, I mean, that's basically what ice is.
Yeah. And then, so they summon the Josho fighters again, and then they do giant Kakuranger Ball, which is just Kakuranger Ball, but giant.
Sure, which I loved, and as I was watching, I thought, I bet Dave hates this.
Listen, I'm growing to embrace Kakuranger Ball. It is super dumb, but I'm going to deal with it.
But what I like about it when it's giant Kakuranger Ball is that it's the same thing, except that it's giant size. And so the exploding Kakuranger Ball itself is roughly the size of a house.
Yeah.
And that's great.
And so he explodes, and his final line is, "I'm gasifying," which like, dude, you kind of, that's like your whole thing. You do that a bunch, so I don't know. Anyways.
So we cut from there to what might be the next day. They have reaffixed the solar panels to the roof of the old golf cart, and Seikai and Mikey. So Seikai and Mikey are driving around together. I don't know what it is with me with names of, like, side characters in this show. I used to be a lot better at it, and maybe I just need to start taking better notes. But they are driving around, and it is now clear to me that neither of them know how to drive.
Yeah, they are not sure what to do, but at the solid 5 minutes, or solid 5 miles, and man, I am...
So they're moving a
just
solid
about gone
5
here, dude.
miles an hour, and Seikai tries to put his arm around her. She does not seem to be into this, and then they just start driving erratically all over the place, causing the 3 young Edisons and the 4 remaining Kakurangers to just run away from this wild, out-of-control, barely moving golf cart. And that is the end of our episode.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the riddle that the narrator gave us for the end credits was, what is a type of gas that you can eat? The answer, asparagus.
That's appalling.
Yeah, no, it was pretty awful. But I had to watch it, and so I am sharing it with you, the listeners. Dave, that is the end of our episode. But before we leave, where do you think that and&nb ranks on our Super Sentai Brothers Creature Royale?
Okay, so first of all, I think and&nb has a great look.
Mm-hmm.
I think he looks very, very cool, especially considering that he's a gas monster. And like, how do you turn that into a concrete thing? I thought they did like a really neat job. So it's, I think he's got a neat look. His plan, I don't know what his plan is. As far as I can tell, it is just to use gas on people. And so in that regard, he is very successful.
Sure, low ambition, high success.
Yeah, well, listen, man. Set your sights a little bit lower. Focus on some achievable goals.
Sure.
Baby steps. Climb that ladder. That's how the world works. So, in that regard, and&nb, both super successful and not a bad life lesson.
Yeah, very practical.
So, I'm thinking like top half at least.
Also, he dodged the Moteki Shogun. He's the first guy to
that is true.
Not get beaten by Moteki Shogun.
That's huge. So, I'm looking around Oboro Gumara, Kyukigan, the Shootin' Doji Brothers, Sarugami, the Ninja Monkey.
Okay, well, I didn't like him as much as the Ninja Monkey.
I didn't like him as much as the Ninja Monkey. Okay, here's a question. Shiraniri, the Ragman, not the Ragman, the Rag...
Sure, we're not talking about the Tatterdemalion of Justice. We're talking about the yokai from this show.
And so, Shiraniri, also hella petty, more or less, I think this is going to come down to pettiness, more or less petty than and&nb.
Ooh. Well, they were both really mad about, like, recycling and being environmentally conscious.
True. I think Shiraniri is the pettier of the two, only on the idea that like and&nb's thing is like semi-legit. Like, oh no, we should get rid of we should not have exhaust coming out of our cars. That would be ideal. Where Shiraniri is just like, I hate nice clothes. Screw
true.
you guys.
That is true.
And I think I do like and&nb better than... Ooh, do I like him better than Lieutenant Shiryu from Die Ranger? I don't know if I do. Lieutenant Shiryu is actually pretty rad.
Okay.
But I do like him better than Pachinko Master.
Yeah, and Pachinko Master is right below Lieutenant Shiryu. So let's drop him between Lieutenant Shiryu and the Pachinko Master. That puts him at number 24 on our list.
So there it goes, man. And I think... that's it for another episode.
Yes, that is going to do it for another episode of A View to a Kakuranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. You want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, and I hope that you do, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Please rate and review us on iTunes. That is what's going to help new people find the show. Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To listen to all the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, go to retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we're the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
We'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.